So let's go ahead and look at a second example of an application where we are given the area and we need to find the z-score and then convert to a data value. So our example says that a researcher wants to select people in the middle 60% of the population. Okay, so remember that this phrasing is key to this type of problem. So that phrasing is giving us the area. So we want to watch for that as we're reading problems. It could say the middle percent, the top percent, or the bottom percent. And in any of those three cases, we want to remember that this is the area that they are giving us. So a researcher wants to select people in the middle 60% of the population based on blood pressure. If the mean blood pressure is 120, so I'm going to go ahead and write that down. The mean is 120. And the standard deviation is 8. We want to find the upper and lower readings that would qualify people to participate in this study. All right, so remember that your first step in working a problem like this is to draw a picture and shade the appropriate area. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my curve. And I want to shade the middle 60%. So what you want to keep in mind is that the mean line goes down the middle. And so if I'm shading the middle 60%, I'm going to be shading a section on each side of 0. And those sections should be equal. And each part of it should be 30%. Okay, now make sure that that makes sense to you. We're told to find the middle 60%. So you need to cut a section in the middle of the curve, which is what we are doing by drawing this line and this line. And if that section is really in the middle, then we'll have an equal part on each side. So if we want middle 60%, that means 30% on each side of 0. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and take that 30% and I'm going to write it as a decimal because we know that we really can't work with the percents. All right, so this is going to be 0.30 and I'm going to tack a couple of zeros on the end so I will have the 4 decimal places for the area. And then this side is also going to be 0.30. All right, so that is the first step. Draw your picture, shade the area that they give you. The second step is to find the z-score. Now, remember, in order to use your table, you need the area between 0 and the z. And so, in this case, we are in good shape because we do have the area from 0 to z. We have the exact part of the curve that we need. We know that that is 0.3000. So I'm going to go to my table, and in the middle of the table, I'm going to look for 0.3000. Now again, it's not going to be there exactly, so you need to find the closest area to it. So the best I can find is 0.2995. And again, you want to be sure that you're looking in the middle of the table. It's a common mistake for students to look for the 0.3000 across the top and down the side. Remember that your areas are in the middle. Okay, so 0.2995 is the best area, the closest one we can find. And now I'm going to read off the z-score. So going across, I get 0.8, and going up, I get a 4. So I'm going to put that together, and my z-score is going to be 0.84. Now, keep in mind that these z-scores will be the same on both sides. So I'm going to fix this, and that'll take care of the second thing that I need to do. So first, I am going to draw my curve and shade. second, I'm going to find the z-score. Okay, and then the last step is to convert those z-scores back to regular numbers. So remember that we're going to use our formula for that, and we have 2 z-scores, so we're going to have to use the formula twice. All right, so the first time I do it, let me write my formula down. I am going to plug in, I'm going to do the positive one first. So I'm going to plug in a 0.84 for the z. Okay, I know that the mean is 120, so I'm going to plug in a 120 for the mean. And I know that the standard deviation is 8. All right, so now I'm ready to solve it. Remember that you're solving it like you would solve an algebra equation where you're trying to get the word value by itself. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to get rid of the fraction. So we'll do that by multiplying both sides by 8. So 8 times 0.84 gives me 6.72. And on the right-hand side, it's going to cancel out, leaving me just the value minus 120. And then the final step to isolate the value is to add the 120 to both sides. Causing it to cancel here and giving me an answer of 126.72. So that is one of my answers to the problem. Now the other answer is going to be found by going through the same process but using a negative 0.84. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to write my answer over here and let's go ahead and find the other value. So that's one of them. So the setup is basically going to be the same, except we're going to have a negative 0.84 here. Okay, we're still going to multiply both sides by 8 as a first step. So 8 times negative 0.84 is going to be negative 0.672. And then we'll have the value minus 120. And again, the final step is going to be adding the 120 to both sides. Causing it to cancel on the right. And giving me, as my second answer, 113.28. All right, so these are the two solutions to the problem.